checking out at Walmart. So I mean, you can if this is live, that would be insane.
We are
right at 8
we are live right now. We are live right now. All right, you guys. It's a comic book look, proudly and happily sponsored by Rainbow Comics, you guys. So if you're in Sioux Falls, come say howdy. 42nd in Minnesota, and if you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, say hello as well. It's a great crew down there. You guys, it's your boy John on Demand, aka Comic Book Hugh Hef, and I just have to say, I am freaking rocking the best T-shirt in the world right now. I love Alpha Flight. And I'm really freaking out about that. But joined by co-CEO Tom Devine, there can only be one wearing the shirt of the competition / family we love Wednesday Comics podcast. Speaking of podcasts and awesome media outlets, though, you guys were joined tonight by awesome Andy Heller from Fat Dude Digs Flicks. How are you?
I am doing exceptionally well, John. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm amazing. It's an amazing day. We are in the month of thanks, right? So with that, I know Tom and I are super thankful you made time to join us this evening, and just looking forward to visit with you. So for those that know Andy around the community, he is just such a joy to be around. I've had the pleasure of working with him randomly at a couple of jobs now. So we have this thing about bumping into each other, like, what are you doing here?
It's been a really fun 12 years, John, of being like, oh my gosh, I know you. And then just randomly our paths will connect. And then I show up at my current job and everybody's like, oh, have you met this guy, John? He's so great. Have you had a chance to meet John yet? He's so awesome. Was he your recruiter? Because he is just so great. And I'm like, who is this John guy that everybody is just like, he's so awesome. And then, sure enough, I find out who it is, and I'm like, yeah, he is.
That's awesome. It's such a small world, though, and that's one thing Tom and I love about the community here is that there's just so many cool things going on in our town, yourself and your podcast included. So thank you for taking time to connect with us this evening.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
Before we jump into books and everything, just wanted to learn a little bit more about your show that you do. So can you kind of fill us in a little bit about what's going on? I've seen you working a little bit with Last Stop CD Shop. Tell us about that.
So Fat Dude Digs Flicks was a passion project. I have always loved movies, just loved movies. I remember back when we worked together at the first job where we met, we had a long conversation about Star Wars and how, that's kind of where a lot of people start with their love for movies. And it was just this long conversation. But I have always just been super obsessed with movies, super into it. And over the course of my life, since podcasts became a thing, I've done multiple podcasts for different outlets. And this is the one that has stuck. And originally, it was just basically me sitting in my car talking to myself for 20 minutes with my phone. And I was like, I'm going to talk about a movie by myself, and that's going to be great. But I wanted to do a Star Wars miniseries when the most recent episode came out, where it's basically people just looking back and talking about the Star Wars movie that had, the most impact on their life or what movie they enjoyed the most out of the series. And I loved it. I love getting a chance to talk to people. So that has changed the podcast. So instead of me sitting by myself in my car, now it's just having a conversation with somebody about their lives, what they do, who they are, and then the one movie that they would say either has had some kind of an impact on their lives or has just been something that they love. And then that's the main show. And then I have an additional show with my friend Blake, where we talk about the Criterion Collection, which is this home video studio that releases these foreign films, documentaries, independent films, just kind of movies that are essential to film history. But it kind of gives us a moment to kind of flex our film snob muscle. And we have a good time doing it. But yeah, it's basically... that show is the same way. It's just two guys talking about movies, and that's what I really get my most enjoyment out of, is just being able to have a chat with somebody about this thing that I love so much.
Absolutely.
That's so cool, man. I mean, I got to say, as I'm a huge comics fan, of course, but I'm a movie guy as well. And so this year I have done something where I've kind of not watched TV at all, and I've transitioned to I'm going to watch all the movies that I want to watch. I always enjoy movies. If I have to break it up into 2 sittings, I'll do it, whatever else. And so now I have been on a tear of movies as well. So I get tons of recommendations from your Instagram page, from your the things that you do on, or the videos that you've done with Last Stop CD Shop. And I've always heard of Criterion Collection. I always thought it was like, uppity. I wasn't going to worry about. But then recently I'm like trying to go through like AFI's top 100 movies from like, I think it's a 2007 list. And in turn, there's like a ton of stuff that are all Criterion Collection, and I've been blown away. So like just recently, last night, I watched like On the Waterfront. This is like this movie with Marlon Brando, and it's just like a 50s movie. So it's just not normally the kind of thing that me, a comic and nerd, I have my Matrix and Star Wars posters right behind me. Not what I would normally watch, but it is straight up an amazing film, amazing performances. And that is where I found myself, like, I got into, I would say, comics as through superheroes, through DC, through Marvel, and now I have moved where I don't read any DC or Marvel comics at all, and I only read independent stuff that's written through these old things or different French comics or different, comics through other sorts. And then I've taken that same approach to movies as well. I feel like we're getting into movies like Star Wars, The Matrix, and then finding love of movies and then seeing, where all the influences came from for these directors that I love and seeing the artwork. And I think that's where the Criterion Collection points you to, like, all these movies that you would never even think of watching, or I mean, me wouldn't think of watching.
Sure.
They are amazing. So yeah, that's really cool that you mentioned that.
Yeah, I just think that, not to give ourselves too much credit, but I think that part of what Blake and I want to do with Criterion Break is really show people that the movies that are in that collection, even though there are some that are, really, hoity-toity, fancy, elitist kind of movies, there's a lot there that is really easily accessible by audiences. And even if it's something where you have to read subtitles to do it, the story is still something that people can easily latch onto. So yeah, I that makes me really happy when people are like, I'm trying to get through these movies, and it's like I'm finally able to kind of like break down that wall, whatever it is, and like I can really enjoy this stuff. But yeah, like you said with your comic books, you start somewhere, and then you find your niche that you really get into. And I think that's kind of, where a lot of movie fans, I think their breaking in point was probably something like Star Wars or a superhero movie. And then and then from that, it's just the whole world. They can see everything, and it's like, it's like, I guess, kind of the Matrix. Like, now you get to take the pill to find out this wide world of movies out there.
That's very cool. So when you're picking your movies, I'd love to, you're consistently watching movies. I mean, how many movies a week are you watching?
Oh, so I think it's kind of changed, like, over the last couple of years. Like, my happy place is to be able to watch 7 movies a week. Like, that's my happy place. There's 7 days in a week. If I can watch 1 movie a day, awesome. Or if, Saturdays and Sundays, like, if I can cram a couple movies in there to make up for the days that I didn't, like, that's fine. And I think that's probably excessive. Like, I think a lot of people are like, why? What, there's life outside. Like, not for me. Like, my name is Fat Dude Digs Flicks, so clearly I'm not outside exercising. Like, I want to watch these movies. But yeah, I mean, it's like, it used to be that I would sometimes cross like 10 movies a week. And now I feel like as an adult, those numbers are going down. But just at least enough where I can have maybe 2 or 3 nights out of the week where I'm like, I'm in my own little movie world and feeling happy.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome, dude. And then, so how do you pick these ones? I mean, do you have endless amounts of movies to pick? Do you follow a director, a cinematographer, a publishing house, a style, an era, an actor, or do you just pick at random and go as flow? Do you keep a list and mark them off, or it's just like it's a bill? I'm asking kind of for selfish reasons because there's some times where it's like, well, I have a million movies I want to watch. I go and I'm going to watch my movie, and then I'm like kind of thinking for an hour about what movie I wanted to watch, and I could have already watched a whole damn movie.
Yeah. I don't know if you can see what's going on behind me here.
Yeah, you guys are pretty impressive.
My movie collection. And there are several hundred of those that I own that I've never watched. And it was just they were on sale at the time. And the smart thing, of course, would be, well, I'm going to watch a movie that I own that I've never seen. But every week they keep pumping out more product. There are more movies. And I'm like, well, wait, I want to see this one because this critic said it was really good, or I want to see this one because, man, I love that actor. It's a crapshoot. Like, it really is. It's kind of like, what I'm in the mood for. What if there's something that my girlfriend wants to watch, I've got to bump that up to the top of the list because that's it. We can both sit and enjoy it. So it's like that's really nice being able to spend the time with her and watch the movie. But then there's stuff that I really want to watch that she doesn't. So it's like, okay, well, when she's gone, then I can be like, oh, it's time for a snobby French movie or something like that. It's just really kind of like, whatever seems like it's gonna be what I want at that time. And during this pandemic, it's been interesting because there are some weeks where there's nothing. And it's not even, I haven't gone to the movie theater since March. I just feel safer that way. That's me. But, like, at least they're releasing stuff at home. And there are some weeks where there's nothing. There's nothing new that comes out, nothing that interests me. Like, I don't care that Nicolas Cage is in 3 movies that came out this week. None of them are ones I want to see. Bring on, something else. And then there are other weeks, or this weekend with the holidays, there's something new on Hulu, something new on Netflix, Amazon Prime is dropping something. And it's like, I'm going to have to pencil these in like somewhere and see where this stuff fits. So it's just, for me, it really is, what am I in the mood for? What sounds like it's going to be good? What's not going to be a complete waste of time? So that's kind of how I break it down, but it changes.
I love it. Yeah, no, I mean, that totally makes sense, and I like that. Hey, just be fluid. And man, as comic readers, I can tell you, me, John, and everybody watching this at home, knowing what it's like to have 100 comics sitting on your shelf, like you
hypothetically, allegedly, you don't know me.
John, I'm pretty sure like two episodes ago, you were like 200 comics.
And I still do. That's the horrible part.
So we can relate.
Yeah. I remember when I was like really collecting comics, like just going into Rainbow every week, trying to stay caught up because I am from birth like Batman guy. Like, love Batman. Yeah, love Batman. And the Snyder run, Scott Snyder, not Zach, Scott Snyder run on Batman. Man, like he really revitalized the Batman series for me. And I love Judd Winnick as an author as well. And when he brought Jason Todd back, like these are things that I'm just like, I love it. And I would buy the Batman comics. They'd sit on my table for a while, I'd fall behind, and then it's like I don't know where I'm at in the story. I gotta let this kind of go off to the wayside, and then buy the graphic novels when they come out.
That's great. Hey, so speaking of comics, I mean, clearly, so you used to buy comics. When did you first read comics, and what comics? What is your history with comics?
Oh man, like I said, Batman. Like Batman from day one, Superman as well. My kind of introduction into the world of comics was through movies and television, because we had the Super Friends cartoon, the 1966 Batman TV series, Christopher Reeve's Batman, or not Batman, oh my God, Superman. Like those were what really opened up the doors for me. And when the 1989 Batman, Tim Burton's Batman, came out, like you could go anywhere, grocery store, department store, anywhere, and find Batman comic books, merchandise, things like that. And that was really when my love for superheroes moved past television shows, action figures, things like that, and moved into, well, I want to read. Like I want to see what other adventures they get to go on too. And that was what introduced me to Jason Todd, who really, if we talk a lot about it, you're going to come to find that guy, like keeping it PG, that guy is something else. And he's one of those characters that I'm like, this dude is something. But yeah,
dude. If you're three Jokers just came out, and Jason Todd was like the main character, and it was insane. I mean, I'm gonna give you lay a little spoiler, because if you haven't read it, as watched, I don't care. He straight up murked Joker, shot a bullet through Joker's head, ended up being the wrong Joker, but still, it was insane. And it's like, he's like, Batman, you've never done this, wham! And
if there is any character that gets that, like that, Batman's not going to do it. Batman is never going to do it. Bruce Wayne is never going to cross that line, even though, I mean, we know he has. Yeah. But he's not going to do that with the Joker. If there's any character who is, and in all honesty, has every right to do so.
Yeah, should.
Jason Todd's gonna pop that cap. Like
I was gonna. You said who has the right to do so. My vote was Alfred, bro. I mean, think about all that dry cleaning and all that tidying up of uniforms after a long night of combat. For real,
he has to put up so much. Like Alfred, the emotional strain on Alfred. The guy is like in his 60s or 70s, and he's dealing with, being the babysitter for a rich guy, like, and then all of the physical and emotional pain. Like, Alfred deserves it too.
That's awesome, man. Well, cool, dude. I always love to hear somebody's, comic book origination a little bit. So that's always fun, and always like to see that getting into Rainbow. That's where we're sponsored. If you guys are watching this right now, you're on Rainbow's page. So we always like to hear those stories of getting people going into Rainbow and grabbing those comics.
And check out the action figure section at Rainbow too.
Yes.
Holy cow! Like, just the amount of like sweet figures. That's another thing that it's like. Pop this up here. Look at those pop vinyls up there. There we go. Like, I think there's so much there, and I imagine the people who watch your show already know that. But like, as someone who's more of a movie guy now, still just being able to see all the things that Rainbow has to offer is super cool.
So I gotta just say, speaking of action figures and movies, Disney's The Black Hole. Vincent, that messed up robot, they had an action figure. Like, it was the good version robot that was still intact, and then Vincent, the crumpled up one. And Ken showed it to me, and I freaked out because Vincent's my boy. Like, the dude's like barely covering, he's like, you've seen it, right? Yeah. Where he's like,
so I have.
Yeah,
but
it's been a minute, right?
My retention of memory for this one is not very good, because
it's not outstanding.
That came out when I was about, a much not as fat of a dude.
Definitely worth a rewatch. We checked it out again last year, and I was just like, "Oh, Vincent's my dude." So when I saw there was a freaking action figure, I just started laughing. Like, it was the funniest thing. Yeah.
What movie are you talking about? I'm not.
The Black Hole from Disney.
It's a black hole in my brain. I've never even heard of it.
You need to check it out. Vincent the robot is legit. Like, that's the homie.
Dude, yeah. I feel like I know these things, man. I feel I'm, being outgunned here by you guys. You freaking film nerds, man. I love it. That's sweet. Well, cool. Well, John, let's start talking. I know you bought some comics today. Speaking of Rainbow Comics, what are you picking up, dude?
All right. Well, you guys, I haven't had a chance to read any of these yet, so no reviews tonight. But Andy, when we do a review of books, we might you might hear us drop some beer ratings. So we rate.
Oh, okay.
We rate things on a scale of 6 packs, right? So 6 beers equals.
I do the taco scale, so
okay.
I rate my movies on tacos instead of stars. I wanted to make it so it was something with food. My girlfriend made the awesome suggestion, and she was like, maybe rate it with donuts, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know I like donuts, but tacos. I'm gonna do tacos, and it was just like that. Like, after she put the idea in my head, like, the brain just started. I could feel the gears turning, and I was like, tacos. It's gonna be the taco scale.
What's the top tier movie in tacos?
The top tier, actually, it's called a golden avocado. So there are movies that go past that by one, and I'm trying to think of one. I have since the Christmas season is about to fall upon us, I might as well say that I know that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, A Christmas Story, and Die Hard are all Christmas movies that have a golden avocado.
That's a sweet. I love the golden avocado.
Yeah, I haven't had one in a while, so it's kind of like I gotta find that good really quickly because they've been slacking.
John, what would you think our biggest or best rating that we've given? I mean, I guess I think once it goes past 6-pack, there are ways to get past the 6-pack, only extremely very circumstantial.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it will get a keg, and the keg is the best one.
We haven't brought the whole truck out yet. But.
It's probably been a couple of years since we've given out a keg, right? I mean, I don't know.
Easily. I mean, the last time was probably you gave it to Dark Avengers #1, and that was that. So that's my all-time favorite comic, Andy, and this is mainly how our show started back in the day at Wells Fargo. Was I loved it, Tom did not like it.
I was gonna say Tom looks furious.
Like, I threw up. I got sick. I think I got COVID from hearing that, man. I lost my taste after hearing that. I'm just kidding, guys. We shouldn't make light of COVID. It's a serious situation. All right. All right.
So, jumping on the books that I picked up, first and foremost is a longtime favorite of mine. And if anyone ever went to the dentist office or a doctor's office in the 90s, probably saw issues of Power Pack resting on the table, and they were probably read to all hell and broken down and stuff. But anyways, this is a recent reboot. I think it's probably a one-shot because it has the Outlawed stamp on it, which means that event they started way before COVID even was a thing. So I am not even sure what's going on with Outlawed. I just love Power Pack. Shout out to the girl with the rainbow powers too, fam. And definitely looking forward to seeing what this issue entails. I have no idea what to expect. I just got it because I'm a loyalist to the characters, loyal to the game.
I remember, and can I go old man for a minute here?
Oh yeah.
So I remember, looking back, like I think we had, and they may have been. Oh no, they were probably G.I. Joe comic books. To be honest with you, my older brother had a stack of G.I. Joe comics that I was super into. Really enjoyed the G.I. Joe, everything G.I. Joe. This was probably like when I was 6 or 7. I love those comic books so much that I ripped the covers off of them when I read them, and had an older brother who pretty much hated me until he turned into an adult because of it. But I remember that they had the ads for the Power Pack comic. Like it was something that you could get by mail. Yep. And then it's usually the Power Pack and Spider-Man trying to hawk comics. And I was like, what? Whoa, this is cool. I don't know what this is. I don't think I ever read any Power Pack, but I always remember the Rainbow Girl. And they were just super cool looking characters.
Yep. It's such a random group, and they're fun to follow. It's been fun.
Yeah. The Power Pack, Marvel they pop up from time to time. A lot of times they can be like a punchline to a joke. Yeah. They're the kids superhero team, but every once in a while there'll be like a writer who does write them really well and then tells a good story, and it's dude, this is totally worth it. Yeah. So I love that you picked it up, John.
It reminds me of the Wonder Twins, kind of.
Exactly. Well, I'm picking up, they have made a movie on this, and I know there's always constantly talks about redoing this. 2 issues of Spawn dropping today. So I normally brag about Spawn. It is literally still only $2.99. I think it's the last comic that's $2.99. And so I actually didn't pick it up for a while. I've read it off and on since it started. But when I saw that it was the only one, $2.99, it's like I'm supporting this because I can't believe they're still being able to output a comic for $3. Mm-hmm. And then after I brag about that, they released 2 comics in one day. So yeah, they still got $6. So I think I got 2 comics for my $6 instead of one half a comic for $6. Right. So anyway, I'm really excited to get into this. This is the Cult of Omega Part 1 and Part 2. It looks real gothic. It looks real, we're getting into it. Todd McFarlane at his greasiest and grimiest. So we'll see what happens.
Are Sam and Twitch still part of the Spawn universe?
Of course, they're still part of the Spawn universe, but usually they only have like their offshoots, or they get like their offshoot 6 here, 6 there. They're never a part of the main storyline like they were in the 90s.
Oh man, there was an HBO cartoon series,
exactly.
of Spawn that was so cool.
I mean, I have to VHS for that.
Yeah, with the cover that would like move when you would turn it. Heck yeah.
Oh heavens. Up next, so Andy, I'm sure I've told you this before, huge Marvel Comics zombie up in here, but currently falling back in love with X-Men titles. So right now there's a 10 of Swords, X of Swords, whatever you want to call it event, massive crossover event. So this is a kind of a grouping of X-Men focused books, and they literally pump out about 3 issues for this 22-part event every week, right? Okay. So this is parts 20 through 22, so we're almost there. I haven't read them yet. It's been very aggressive on the wallet. So frequency has been fun, but it's also been really like, geez, you know. So luckily for me, I sold some of my pops, so I was working off of a gift card the past 2 weeks to, you know, whittle that boy down. But yeah, it's a lot. So overall, it's been a really fun read. Andy, if you ever get bored and you want to read some rad X-Men stuff, I can definitely make some recommendations for you, because it's kind of a cool little reboot there. Some of the previous ones before that were not so hot, but this one's pretty hot.
Is it okay if I ask kind of what the general story of that is?
Totally.
Yeah,
so right now,
what are they going for?
Yeah, right now, all the heroes and villains that are mutants live on an island called Krakoa. And then this X of Swords event is basically going into like the Nether Realm or whatever they call it. And then there's another island full of all these unhappy mutants, and Apocalypse's wife is one of the characters. So then there's this big tournament where everyone needs to bring swords to the party, except the contests have really nothing to do with swords. Like one was a disco dance-off, one was a drinking contest, those sorts of things. So
I'm sorry to interrupt, John. I lost audio. I don't know what happened. I can't hear you. Hold on just a second.
Am I coming through for you?
Let me try my headphones again here.
Sure. Tom, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you, John. So
okay. Come back. Now I can't hear you. I'll message. I'll message him.
Can you hear us? Well, now we can't hear you either.
Why can't I hear you? Sorry, John.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
It's like I hear like a cracking in my headphones.
Oh, weird.
I'm trying to see what I can do. This is upsetting. Sorry, guys.
No, it's okay. It happens. It's okay. Maybe
I could troubleshoot if you want to do a book really quick.
Or just pop back on.
I sent the link as well here, so hopefully that helps.
Yeah, I just message him and tell him to pop on, pop back off, or pop off, back on. We'll see what happens.
He's gonna restart here.
Let me see if I can figure out. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Yeah. We can.
I don't know. All I hear on your guys' end is static now. I'm really sorry. Am I able to? If I exit, will it ruin anything? And then I can try logging back in.
No,
okay. Okay. I will exit and then I will try and come back. I'm sorry, guys. Man, I feel like a schmuck.
No problem. Right, I'm gonna go into it. So, my next book, Savage Dragon, guys. This is what I got here. This is going to be, your classic Spawn, duo. It's old school Image. They're still playing off the title. I don't know. I'm hit or miss on this. I'm about to drop it again, I think. I feel like every time I pick it up for 6 or 7 issues and drop it again. And I'm, finishing that cycle off again of dropping.
Wasn't that one getting really weird? Like, I was watching the Comic Book Bears, and they were talking about it. And they were saying it was getting kind of risque a little bit, and that they thought the writer was going through something in his life.
I believe that, because it's always tried to be risque, but now it's like, the main characters are always like having sex for no reason, and then they're like fighting for no reason, and then there's like this really weird superhero like who spits like webbing out of her vagina, so it's like she's shooting webbing out of her vagina. I don't know, it's insane.
That was a good time to come back in. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what happened. Like, it literally just went.
That happens, man.
So,
it's all
sorry,
good.
guys.
No worries.
Dude, no big deal at all. I was just talking about a vagina spraying in Savage Dragon. So don't worry, nothing that important.
Nothing too extreme.
I click back in and I'm like, and she was shooting webbing out of her vagina. I'm like, I guess this is where we're going with this show.
It's not us, it's the creative teams out there that are putting books on the shelf. We're just reporting. We're just reporting. So let's talk Star Wars super quick. Star Wars Dr. Aphra. I'm rocking with the series right now. Dr. Aphra is a very likable and despicable character all at the same time, which is why I absolutely adore her. Andy, highly recommend this series if you want to check something out, because in the earlier, it was a previous volume of this series, they debuted 2 homicidal droids, so an evil C-3PO and R2-D2 called 000 and BT-1. I literally took pop figures of 2 of the Star Wars droids and painted them to look like them. And the 000's opening, one of his opening lines is just like, hey, I'm fluent in 10,000 forms of communication and 2,000 forms of torture. So you can hear that in a C-3PO voice, and it makes my heart so happy. So
you're evil.
I'm evil. I'm not a nice person. But just love this series. It's so fun. So definitely no droids right now. So if I were to give it a beer rating, it'd be about 3 out of 6, just because I'm missing my boys.
For sure.
Yeah.
Just real quick, one of the things that I think I'm really enjoying the most out of this show is watching Tom's reaction to John's
Well, John, we've been doing this show for 10 years. I've been trying to tell John that he's reading the wrong stuff and he likes the wrong things for 10 years, but it's not working. So I don't know what's going on. Just playing, dog.
Tomato.
No, that's why I love doing the show with Johnny Boy. He's always reading stuff that if it was just all the stuff that I read, the show would suck. All right. So I'm going to jump in. I'll do 2. I have these are, every once in a while I like to take chances. I'm taking 2 chances here. So this one is going to be I Walk with Monsters, written by Paul Cornell. He's this English dude that I really do like his writing. He's done some really good stuff for Marvel in the past. So I figured I'd give him a shot on this. I do like Vault Comics. They supported SuperCon and Sioux Falls and stuff. So thought I'd give that a shot. And then this one, Mother, a post-apocalyptic tale. I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic stories in general, mostly movies usually. But I figured, I flipped through the art. The art was not bad. It looked like it was actually kind of good cartooning style of art. So I was like, you know what? I'm totally in. I'm going to give this a shot. I haven't read either of these, but hopefully I don't have to hopefully I don't have to drop off of them, but you never know. I'm going to give them a shot and we'll see what goes. I'll catch up on it in a couple weeks to let you guys know how it went.
Awesome. Well, speaking of amazing comics, I am really excited for this one for many reasons. It really jumped off at the shelf. So I'm working on the Monstrous Trades right now. So I'm on volume 2 of 4 that I have, and I think there's even more past that. Well, there is this 2-issue series that came out today, Monsters Talk Stories, and it's a shiny cover, and I love shiny covers. And it's all double-sided and pretty. But what
is Monsters? What is that?
Monstrous.
Monstrous is a character from Marvel?
No, this is Image.
From Image? Okay.
Yeah. Right now, it's really just truly been this fantasy journey. So we're following a few different characters actually on both sides of, hey, you're the good guy, hey, you're the bad guy. I'm still getting my bearings with the whole thing, so I'm not qualified to answer that just yet. Give me until the end of volume 2 first, just because there's a lot flying at me as I'm reading it. But I just saw this, and this character has been the innocent bystander that's tagging along with the main character so far. So I'm like, awesome. We got a comment from an anonymous Facebook user because it won't tell me who it is. Oh no! But Monstrous is awesome, which thank you. I totally agree. I've been enjoying it so far, but I am not an expert yet in this series, so I can't speak on it until I read the whole thing that I have first, and then I shall cast my opinion. But I have thoroughly been enjoying it so far, and it's outside of that superhero norm. So for me, it's kind of a welcome break.
Dude, so cool, John, that you're picking that up. Yeah, no, I haven't. I don't think it must have just not caught my eye, but I know when you see a foil cover that's that shiny, you cannot not buy it. So, of course, I'm not surprised that you picked that up at all.
CT, is that?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is that kind of, high fantasy stuff like Corbett is the king of it. All right.
Yeah, man.
So next up, what I got here, I'll go another double. These are going to be two books that I am on the fence for, but I think I'm going to like, and I think I'm going to stick with. So I'm going to go with Chew. Chew right here. This is from one of my favorite writers, Jonathan Lehman, and he wrote the original Chew, and this is kind of like the continuing series about Chew's sister. And it's about Chew is a detective where if he eats something, he has the entire history of what happened with that food, how it was made, how it was baked, where it came from, what fertilizers went into it, where the seed came from, and all the way throughout. And then now his sister has like this like superpower with food where if she's like eating the same food as you are, she kind of like understands how you feel and what you're thinking and can almost kind of control you. But it's totally super fun. I mean, in this wacky style that you can only really do in comic books because the budget would just be too outlandish. And it's super, super fun to see this. I was hesitant at first, and now I think by this issue from the last one, I'm really kind of turned around. The action's pumping up. I'm getting used to the art a lot more because we did jump off of one of the greatest artists wrote the original Chew, spelled Chew, and now we have a new artist. He's doing his own take on it. I'm not as in love with it, but by this issue now I'm getting used to it and how the characters look. Totally good. I really do think if you guys read Chew, if anybody read Chew, they have to be picking up the new Chew with a U. And then the other one was Scumbag #2. I thought it was good, but I was on the fence. Rick Remender, the writer of it, he writes amazing comics. It's just simple as that. I mean, we all know that the things that he's written between Deadly Class and his Marvel work and what is Fear Agent, there's a ton of good work that he's been doing for a really long time. So it's for him to jump on a new book about like a scumbag piece of shit who like makes all the wrong decisions and nobody likes, is like impossible to be likable, and he's making that the main character. We'll see where it goes, man. I would definitely want to stay on board, but I hate reading books or I hate hearing stories where I can't attach myself to any of the characters, or I don't see any redeeming qualities in any of them. So hopefully this can go far enough away that it's still exciting to look at. But yeah, that's coming out. So Scumbag #2.
Cool. Andy, this one's just for you. So Batman Detective Comics issue 1031. What? So Andy, you've missed it, but I always go on this horrible lecture about how I love having a series that has 4 numbers in the issue number and it's not a freaking reboot. So we have enough number ones in our collection. So Detective Comics, I'm just holding on to it for dear life. I think I'm nearing 100 issues if I'm not there already, because I've been reading since the 900s when Rebirth event started. And just it's been hit or miss. Like there's been some great moments and there's been some kind of slow issues too, but I think that's to be expected when you're at 1031. So overall, I'm digging it still. I definitely prefer this title over the main Batman line right now. Ironically, just because it gives us more Gotham, in my opinion, just seeing some of the different characters, the PD, etc. So I kind of like that angle a little bit more than the main series.
Yeah, I feel bad that I haven't read a lot of Batman lately. The last storyline that I remember is when, for some reason, Gordon took on the mantle of Batman and had like the kind of cybernetic suit. Is that I don't remember how long ago that was now, but like I just was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Yeah.
And I think Bruce Wayne forgot everything for a while. So
yeah, I remember this. That was where Bruce Wayne then ended up getting lost in time, and Grant Morrison took him through the all of the different Bruce Waynes, and then he ended up. I remember that time, but I would say as soon as as soon as the Butler becomes a cybernetic superhero, it's time to drop the book. That's a general rule. So.
I stuck with it. I'm loyal.
I'm just playing, John. You know that. You're a continuity man, okay? And you know I want to be reading that X-Men book just as bad as you are, but I can't bring myself to buy $5 a week on it.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
I do want to. I mean, I love Hickman. I love the X-Men. I will read it eventually.
Right.
So I don't know if you stuck with this, John. You might have picked it up. You might not have, but Autumnal #3 came out this week. Oh, yeah. Sick, dude.
I was saving it. I was waiting.
But yeah, so I haven't read it yet, but this is a really good book. But then I do want to say something about this book, John. So this book, it's about like this, you know, if you're following it, it's like this lady right here is going back to her hometown. She has her little kid. She's kind of an offset, kind of running from the past maybe. And she goes to this tiny town, and there's some strange shit going on in this tiny town.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so weird is last week I read Stillwater. So I don't know if you remember Stillwater, John. It's from Chip Zdarsky. It's an image book. It's about a guy and his friend who go to a small town and like get stuck there, and there's like, you know, time stands still in this time. And then I kept on getting confused between these two storylines.
Oh no.
Because, they're both about like mysteries and small towns. And then I was like, what? The main character is a girl, not a dude. And then I was reading Stillwater and it was a dude, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm thinking of Autumnal. So, you know, I'm trying to keep it straight, but I do love this. I feel like all of these books, like this one and that Stillwater, it all comes from Jeff Lemire doing like Essex County, doing Sweet Tooth, doing those old books that like broke the world of comics into it's okay to tell quaint stories in small town settings with small people, and it doesn't have to be, you know, the craziest story of all time. These small mysteries can be extremely engaging, and I think the comics world is better for that. Jeff Lemire, thank you for breaking into allowing us all of these other comics.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. No, I'm very excited to dig into that as well, man. And the artwork, I was sneaking peeks. I love the fall colors. If we ever have a chance to talk to Vault Comics, I just want to tell them I love the fall leaves. Like, that makes me so happy. And we're going to use this background. I don't care what time of the year it is. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
That's perfect.
Sorry, Andy, I cut you off there.
Oh no, that's okay. You had mentioned a couple of names, and I'm trying to place them because they sound very familiar. What else did Chip Zdarsky do? Is there something that he was? Because that name sounds super familiar.
Yeah, so he's kind of a hot item, right? He's a hot creator in comics right now. So he kind of got his start on being the artist on Sex Criminals from Image, which was this really it was a really good book. I mean, read the first couple trades if you ever get a chance. And from there, though, he's gotten some DC work, he's gotten some Marvel work, and what's really everybody's found out is like, yeah, he's a good artist, but the dude can write, and the dude can write like really well. And I would say in comics, it's very, very seldom that the comic artist makes the transition to writer, and then it's as quality of writing as you know, people who specialize in writing. So I think Chip has done it. He's made this jump, and it has been really fun to watch. Yeah. But then the other guy that I mentioned is Jeff Lemire, and if you have a chance, just read anything that he's done. He's probably the premier voice for comics. I think he's gotten like, you know, Writer of the Year probably like 5 of the last 6 years for, you know, the different comic awards that go around. He's amazing. I would say if you're looking for superheroes, I have been going through Black Hammer right now. It's really, really good. But if not, I would definitely pick up Essex County or Sweet Tooth, or Ascender Descender, or I don't know. He has a lot of really good books. So you can just look up Jeff Lemire. He's all his stuff is excellent. But I really do think he brought a different kind of way of storytelling that is worth it for people that are used to the normal superhero comics to check out, because he really does break boundaries.
Nice. That's cool.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, John. That was my stack on my side, man.
All right. Well, I got one left, and I read this one.
Uh-oh.
And I took a chance on it, on a #1, Black of Heart. I literally was looking through the previews. So like New Comic Wednesday, before I go to the shop in the morning, sometimes like when I wake up, I'm like, I grab my phone, you know, what's coming out of the new comics, and then I scroll through. So I kind of have an idea what I'm picking. I used to like know exactly what book I'm getting before I go there, but I kind of just get a general idea. And this cover stuck out at me, you know, bold, yellow, black, really good high dynamic range and contrast of these colors. And that's like what I really enjoy in, you know, speaking out, has a good wraparound with like blood. So I'm in for it. I should have at least opened it up though, because man, oh man, it was not my cup of tea. I didn't like it at all. So I'm a graphic designer for trade. I do graphic arts, and I would say I love illustration for that reason, because I'm getting to see all these different artistic takes. But there's also another way that I found, and a lot of indie comics like to use it, and it's just you're not that good of an artist, so you'll Photoshop the shit out of a bunch of photos. And that's kind of like what they're doing with this one. So it's like, I can tell that this kind of is nice and moody. Look, it's kind of like dark and, you know, shadowy and stuff like that. But if you're looking at it not on this little computer screen, it's like, oh, this is some guy's face that you Photoshopped on, and then you put over 5 filters, and then you try to use some digital watercoloring to soften it all up. Well, guess what? You don't fool me, man. This is not the kind of shit I want. I'm definitely not picking up issue number 2. Black of Heart, yeah, it was 1 out of 5 beers. I thought the story did not keep me engaged. When you do storytelling like this, the acting is so stiff. It's impossible to want to engage and get a feeling for that, where it's like there's other people who do this style where you are using a lot of Photoshop, you're using a lot of photo referencing, and it's amazing, like absolutely amazing. This guy is not able to do it. So I'm not even mentioning your name. Sorry, bro. I know it's an indie comic. Hopefully if you watch this, you know, you take my advice and find an artist that will do some actual illustration.
Do it better.
Get good.
Are we changing that to Whack of Heart then? Or?
Yeah, definitely. This is definitely Whack of Heart.
All right.
Whack of Heart is worth a beer burp.
Yeah, that's 1 beer burp out of 6.
Tom, I'm so sorry.
I know, and I know that's what it takes sometimes, and you gotta try it out. And I give them the gold for trying to put it out there. But hey, man, and Source Point Press, another stuff I should have known right away by looking at this page right here. Source Point Press, get somebody to design your inside page. It's garbage. Okay.
Shots fired. All right.
Laying it out there, not
holding
back.
Sometimes I like to go hard for no reason.
All right. Well, I don't even know how I can follow that. Well, I tell you what, we got the King of Cinema here in the 605 on the show with us. So let's transition here and let's talk nerd cinema for a second. So Andy, you've been watching the MCU movies?
I have been pretty fully invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I think there are very few in that entire series that. Okay, there are none that I just outright despise.
Okay,
like, there's nothing in there that I'm like I will never watch this again. But there is also Thor: The Dark World, which you know,
yes,
which is a movie. And Iron Man 2 also exists.
Oh yeah,
Iron Man 2. I think that's go than Iron Man 3.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Like, you know, and the thing with the Iron Man series, just to kind of like go all over the place here, Robert Downey Jr., like, he makes those movies engaging and watchable. But yeah, after the first one, the Iron Man standalone movies aren't as strong as any of his participation in any of the other chapters. But yeah, I like the MCU. I am more of an MCU fan than I am, sadly, for the DC.
Yeah, right. We love Zack Snyder.
Guys, I listen. I have a feeling that this is not the place for me to talk about it. There will probably be people who will, like, you know, attack me for saying anything unkind.
I would say you're safe, because as comic fans, the one thing that all comic fans are in agreement of is that DC doesn't know how to make movies. And also, like, even comic fans, I would say, are a lot of them are burnt the fuck out on the MCU universe. Like,
Yes.
The pandemic's good, man, because great, you told me that story. I've heard from multiple people being like, I think I'm going to take the next few Marvel movies off. Because you come out 1 or 2 a year, you do it until you got whatever it is, 25 or 30, I feel like, movies. And then it's like, dude, they don't become special anymore. Like you said, you would watch every single one again, but when you have 30 of the same thing, it doesn't make Civil War be as special as it was the first time I saw it, or whatever else, or Winter Soldier, I should say, which I really, really liked.
Yeah, like we have been in a world where there has been at least one Marvel movie for now like 12 years. This was the first year in that long where there have been no, well, okay, the New Mutants, but do we count that?
We can't count that.
Yeah, but there are no Marvel Cinematic Universe films in theaters this year. And honestly, good. Like we just need a breather. And I think kind of I honestly feel like what would have been the better decision, and even though I liked it, I think the best decision would have been to release Endgame and then wait, take a break. I get that Far From Home was released, and I get that it was made. Let it sit. Like don't put Far From Home out, but it's it's been out for over a year. It's already on home video. Yada yada yada. I think the smarter move would have been to wait with that so that you can really let people sit in that feeling of like, that's it. And honestly, I think the anticipation for, maybe now for Black Widow might be even higher because we've had so long to wait. And the fact that Florence Pugh is going to be in this movie, and she is going to be amazing because she is one of the best young actresses working today. But I think giving more room to breathe is going to be a smart move for Marvel in the future if they do it. But it's a money-making, like, it is a cash cow. So there is no way that Disney's going to be like, you know what?
Yeah, we'll take 3 years off. We don't want $3 billion.
Right? Like we've made 2.5 off of this one. This is good. Hold on. We'll wait. We can wait 12 more months before we make another $2.5 billion off of them.
No big deal.
I have another question when it comes to comics and movies. So what is your favorite movie, or what do you think the best movie is that was originally a comic book? Or a comic book?
Yeah, it's tough. Because if you go superhero, like I feel like my bias is always going to lean towards Batman. And when Burton's Batman came out, that movie was so like important to me that year. Like my whole life revolved around that movie. I had the comic book adaptation. I had the movie magazine. I put posters up on the wall. I tried to own all of the action figures. I'm an 8-year-old kid who was just like
from Burger King.
Right? I wanted all of it. Like, and so for me, there's that connection to it that makes it my favorite, even though I know that there's so much going on there that doesn't really connect with the Batman of the comic books. And then the same thing can be said for the Nolan series, which I also love. They're great. They're really well made, but I think connecting it to the comic book, it's definitely Batman, but there's just something. It makes it more of a movie Batman than it is a comic book Batman. But I appreciate that because I'm a movie guy. So I almost think that maybe one of my favorite comic book movies is The Crow. Like I feel like I think The Crow, it's because that comic is such a easy story to tell. I mean, it's dark, it's very emotion based, and yet it still tells a good story. And I think that movie, even if you take the tragedy of Brandon Lee aside from it, you have just a really great adaptation of this interesting comic book that I don't think everybody even realizes that it's adapted from a comic book. So yeah, I think The Crow is great. I also really love Into the Spider-Verse. Like Miles Morales is just Miles Morales is the shit.
great.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, Into the Spider-Verse I really love too. So yeah, I would say, Batman, Spider-Verse, The Crow, those are probably the ones that I put up in the higher, higher tier of comic book adaptations. But I think, too, like one of the best, I guess, adaptations that I've seen, I loved the Watchmen TV series. Oh my God. I thought that was so good. And it allowed the storytellers to take their time to tell this story. And, it's influenced by the Watchmen comic book, but it's not a direct adaptation of what happens. It kind of furthers that story along. But it really builds this world so well. You really feel for these characters. Most of them are new and just kind of somehow connected to characters from the Watchmen's graphic novel or series and movie. Which I don't hate. I don't hate that one. Yeah.
How many tacos did that get? Be honest.
I would probably give, honestly, I'd probably give the Watchmen movie probably 3.5, three and a half, somewhere in there. I haven't seen it in a while.
Out of 5 or out of 10?
Yeah, out of 5. Out of 5.
I was gonna say out of 10, that's terrible. But
yeah, that's not a very good score for a 10. But yeah, out of 5. But the Watchmen TV series, if I rank that, that's probably a golden avocado for me. I loved it. I thought they did a really fun job with it, and Regina King as Sister Knight. Ooh, glory be to her, because she was just incredible.
That's fantastic. Oh, that makes me happy. That's cool. And I know you guys were ragging on DC a lot about the movies, but really quick, I just got to give mad kudos. So I've been watching the Titans show that originally was on that DC app that bombed out. Now it's on HBO Max. And Titans, we're on season 2 right now. Even Ken goes, okay, I'm hooked. And started watching it with me. And he's usually one that's like, I'm gonna go downstairs or whatever. So he's been hanging out a little bit and tuning in. So while the movies are kind of and they've had some strong offerings. Wonder Woman, the first release, blew my freaking mind with how fun it was and just refreshing it was to have just a really cool female hero portrayed in such a cool manner. Fun soundtrack, just fun movie all in all. Loved Wonder Woman. Aquaman was entertaining. It was cool. And then Justice League happened.
But there was also Shazam, which was a ton of fun.
I forgot about that. Yes.
Shazam was a ton of fun.
It was funny as hell, man. I liked it.
I did enjoy that one. Yep. I always forget about that because it kind of happened, and then the DCU kind of didn't happen after that. It's kind of a shame.
Yeah. Have you watched Doom Patrol yet? I hear that one is also really, really good.
I saw a majority of the first season, and then the app died or whatever, so we have it on HBO Max, so I'll probably tune into that too. But from what I saw, great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
On the comment.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
And then, God, what was I going to say? I had something else. Crap.
Yeah, John, you're always forgetting it at the last
I am.
No.
Can I ask you guys a question?
No.
Okay. Well, thanks, guys. This has been a lot of fun.
What do you got?
Yeah, of course.
So here's a question that I have for you. Is there a property that you guys that hasn't already been adapted into a movie form that you think really presents itself well for a movie? Is there something like, from the indies or even if it's a big title that there should be a movie adaptation of that would really probably knock people dead if they had a chance to see it?
Yeah, I know right off the bat, and I've been saying this for years, and I know exactly who I want to direct it. It's called The Legend of Luther Strode, and it is it's like a mini series. Check it out. I think it's from Image. I'm pretty sure Cena Grace is the writer. It is, or maybe Justin Jordan's the writer. I think it's Justin Jordan. Anyway, it's about like a kind of like Fist of the North Star, old, really strong anime kind of guy, and he goes through all these crazy battles, 80s style, and then it's like it tells us such a good story. It's so over the top, plays on all the 80s action movie tropes and stuff like that. And then you get the guy who did Kung Fury to direct the movie, and then it would be a sure hit. It would be like a comedy, bloody 80s action, it'd be so good. I think that is and I think you could do it for like 25 or 30 million dollars, and you could do it like really good. So it wouldn't even have to be like this huge one. It could kind of be one of those in between movies that it doesn't have to be extremely big budget, but you could blow everybody's socks away with making fun of Schwarzenegger and Stallone and everything else in the kind of ways that tie it to the new world and how absurd and silly that stuff all is. But yeah, Legend of Luther Strode. So I would say that is the comic that would instantly be a movie that I would watch at least.
Nice.
For me, I gotta be honest with you. I was looking over my shoulder at Silver Surfer right above my head there, and I was just like, oh, I would love to see him. Oh, I have, and it didn't go well. So we're gonna pretend
let's forget that exists.
But I do, I'm so glad you asked, Andy, and I know Tom feels the same way. I'm gonna take you on a walk with me here, but
a journey.
The legit is going to be Dark Avengers. I have a slight obsession and a whole wall of Dark Avengers.
They're going that way, though, Andy. They will do Dark Avengers. I guarantee it, John. That is where the Marvel Cinematic Universe is going to. It's a perfect reason to. They've started to set up all these people. All of the superheroes are getting too expensive. They need to start looking at other people. It's going to be so smart for them to have a fake Thor, a fake Captain America, a fake Spider-Man, a fake Wolverine, and then have these other actors get in here being able to do it. I guarantee you that Dark Avengers gets made within the next 10 years.
Yeah, and I'm really thankful the Disney CEO got my letter and considered.
Yeah, exactly. That's how that happened.
Yeah. What about you, Andy?
Oh,
what's missing?
So for the longest time, like I really thought. And now there's an adaptation of it, but I really wanted to see them do something good with Lock and Key.
Oh, sure.
I thought that, it's Stephen King's son. Like, I thought there was a lot really there to be mined. And then, now there's a Netflix adaptation that I haven't even been able to work up the nerve to watch, because watching the trailer for it makes me go, nope.
I hope that people like Lock and Key, and I know some people do. It's one of my favorite comics. Yeah. But the reason that I'm the same with you, I have not watched the series, is because they changed it to be like YA. It's like young adult, and it's so it has to play the young adult kind of tropes and different things like that, where, like, yes, there are kids in the comic book, but it is legitimately scary. It's legitimately sad. It's legitimately, like real consequences.
They are dealing with so much trauma. That's what sets this story in motion. And you can't just, you can't whitewash that. You can't make it so it's like, no, we want to make this accessible for more people. No. Tell the story and you'll find your audience, because it is haunting and it will screw you up.
Yeah. Oh, dude, there is so Joe Hill and Gabriel Rodriguez are the creators behind it, and they always are doing other stuff. So it's really hard to lock them in to get like an actual.
Lock them in.
And so, like, usually you'll get like a one shot, but right now we are in the middle of a brand new arc, and it tells a story of the Locke family during World War II and how one of the sons is like a little Nazi who wants to like join the Nazi party, and I don't know, and then it's awesome so far, and he's been able to like trick his parents to go across. Oh, he ends up uses the teleportation key to teleport himself and a bunch of other different things. I don't know. It's been so good. We're only like 2 issues in, but I am so happy to get an actual official another chapter of Lock and Key. It's coming out right now, so it's pretty cool.
Nice. Another one that's dark that I think I would really enjoy getting a chance to see. There are two from Mark Millar that I really enjoyed. It would be cool to see Nemesis. Kind of brought to the screen. I think having that villain who has the same resources that a Bruce Wayne has, and just Yep, ruins everything. Like I think that would be a lot of fun. And then the name of it escapes me. I think it's Superior, where there's the kid is has a disability and he wishes to become a superhero. And like, it's not all it's cracked up to be, if I remember correctly.
He gets to like Shazam himself, you know, but it's exactly. And both of those, and that's why Netflix made the agreement with Mark Millar. I'm sure those will become awesome Netflix series.
Yeah, because those will be fun to watch.
They have an agreement. He's the only comic creator that has this, that if he makes a comic book, Netflix has already bought the rights to. They bought like all of his comic books before they even he's made them. So he has to like put out a certain amount of stories a year, and Netflix automatically already owns the rights to make those. And so they're called, like, it used to be called Millar World, and now it's literally called Netflix Comics. And so when you buy a Mark Millar comics, it has like a Netflix logo on the back. Which is it's wild, but you know that dude was like, "How much do you want to give me?" Yes, I agree.
Okay,
agreed. We'll do it. But yeah, so that's so cool that you've even heard of those two comics, man. That's really awesome. He gets a lot of shit in the comic community, actually. You know, he plays to the low-hanging fruit a lot of times, and like, you know, like that story with Nemesis, some people just absolutely love it. I love the art in it, but then a lot of people are like, you know, this is bullshit. This has been done 100,000 times in different DC anti-what if type scenarios, and he's just taking this trope and redoing it. But then at the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, but did you read Old Man Logan? Because it's exciting to see a Venom T-Rex, okay? You know, there's the two sides to that story of his style, but that's really cool that you mentioned that for sure.
Yeah, I thought those ones were. I thought they were fun. Like I can totally see why people wouldn't like them. But I thought, you know, at the time when they came out, I was really I was like, when's the next issue coming out? Like I want to keep up with the story and see where this goes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Wonderful.
All right, John, you're tired. Let's shut it down, dude.
All right, well, we'll shut it down here for sure. But first of all, Andy, thank you so much for your time this evening and for stopping by to hang out with a couple of comic book geeks like Tom and I. Where can people find you? Throw out the socials. What are you working on? What can we expect in the next month or two? What's on the radar for you?
Yeah, first off, thank you guys so much. This was a blast. I had a lot of fun doing this. It's kind of nice to like step outside of the movie world, but yet still kind of be like, well, I'm going to keep my toe over here. But yeah, you can find all things Fat Dude Digs Flicks on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just do a search for Fat Dude Digs Flicks. You'll find me there. My podcasts, there are two of them, podcasts. They're both on the same network, the Fat Dude Digs Flicks network. There is Let's Taco Bout, which is the kind of interview series where I have a guest on. We talk about their lives and what movie means a lot to them. And then the Criterion Break with Andy and Blake, where we dive into the Criterion Collection. And that is where you can find me on social media.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you again. Outstanding to get to catch up with you on the nerd front on the internet. And 100% confident that we're going to be talking again because we got some cinema on the way for sure. So looking forward to getting your thoughts in the future here. Always welcome to stop by. So definitely don't be a stranger. Again, you guys, a comic book look proudly sponsored by Rainbow Comics. So if you're in Sioux Falls, swing by 41st in Minnesota, say howdy to the crew there. Or if you're in Lincoln, Nebraska, stop by and say hi. It's a wonderful group down there too. So we'll go ahead and wish you guys the happiest of Thanksgivings tomorrow. Hopefully your day is safe. It's a strange year right now, but we're thankful for all of you, our viewers, and fellow comic book nerds. It is a great community to be a part of. Andy can attest to that as well. It's a wonderful community here in Sioux Falls, so we are very blessed with that. And you guys, just per tradition, we're going to have a really great Thanksgiving tomorrow, and we're going to keep it comics right now. Boom.
Keep it comics.
And then I hit the stop button.